he's like so awkward and nervous, and he's trying to get people to be quiet, but it's a bar, and he's the opening guy, and nobody cares about him. And he looks at me and he's like, "You know I'm not Ray, right?" He's like, "Ray's gonna come on later. He's got a beard." And I'm like, "Yeah, here's some pictures of you, dude. It's okay."
I almost didn't shoot.
And then he left and she's like, another song. He's like, "Can you please stop now?"
So that was his polite way of saying stop, but not really saying it. I almost didn't shoot Amy Winehouse the first time. It was at South by Southwest in Austin. They switched. She was, well, you know, it's lucky I guess she showed up at all, but she switched time slots. She was supposed to be next, and this band comes out. Now, just because the act is called Amy Winehouse doesn't mean it's not a band. I was just told to shoot this person. I don't know who the hell she is. So I shot that whole set and I started leaving, and I heard somebody say something. I'm like, "That wasn't Amy Winehouse?" "No, it's a girl." I'm like, "Oh," and then I had to force my way back in. Yeah, that was. I don't know. I mean, I ended up finding out, but I don't think it was anybody worth mentioning.
It wasn't Amy Winehouse.
But I got it. But it sucked because now I had the greatest zip because there was no pit. I had the greatest position. Now I don't know. It's forcing myself back in. It's like, I'm so happy in the end.
Yeah, Eshat was doing one of those like B96 Christmas shows, and in the middle of the show there was this unannounced performer who sang from the soundboard. She sang like the national anthem or something that was kind of random. And I heard somebody say like, "Oh, she was on nobody really knew what was going on, and certainly no one was telling people on the phone." But I kind of went back and took a couple shots of her, and later on I was like, "Oh, that was Jennifer Hudson."
I remember, speaking of being on the photography in the pit, I don't remember what venue it was, with Billy Idol. And I go to shoot the show, and I'm the only photographer there. I don't know why. Since then now, it seems like he has. Well, I guess so, yeah, but a lot of people go now. Anyway, so he's a fun performer to shoot. He's having a great time. At one point, he looks at me and he gives me the middle finger. I meant to give him the thumbs up, but I gave him the middle finger right back because this kind of happened. And inside my head, I screamed, "Holy shit, I just gave him the middle finger, holy fuck." And then he went, "Yeah!" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I passed." But like all that happened like in a couple seconds of, "Holy shit, I just gave him, oh my god, oh my god." Yes, all right.
Has anything weird ever, or unusual or funny ever happened with one of your photos after you took it? Like the guy who took the Johnny Cash photo that is, of course, on his t-shirts now. Perhaps something with the Nordic country.
Jenny would be referring to, again, one of those weird moments of you shoot the opening band and you don't know what's going to happen. So I got an email that I didn't actually believe at first because it claimed to be from the Swedish Postal Service. And it turned out it was absolutely legit, and they wanted to license one of my photos to use on a postage stamp honoring Swedish rockers of the band the Sahara Hot Nights, who I feel like one of those posters is around here too somewhere. But they wound up taking my photo and they had this master engraver do an etching based on it, and it actually turned into a Swedish postage stamp, which they paid really well too. Although I had no idea what they were offering me because it was in Kronos or whatever the currency is. But yeah, I invested in very Swedish postage stamps. And my sister had a friend who was in Sweden and actually sent me a postcard.
I had a really bad experience once actually.
there was a period of time that these bootlegs, where when they decided to look for a photo, they would just go to rollingstone.com, just instant arsenal of images. And I found out because these photographers were calling me up and complaining, freaking out. My photos are on these bootlegs and everything, and that's not legal. I went, well, either is a bootleg. What do you want me to do about it? I said, there's a reason. I said, how do you expect me to get a hold of you? You got to figure out, like, you know, and I just finally said, you know what? They could have stolen any photo and put it on their CD illegally for pictures. I don't know what you want me to do about it. You know? I actually ended up buying one of the bootlegs so I could have that at mine. So, and the other one of my most, a photo that I had found everywhere is this Christina Aguilera photo. And it was the tour opener in Phoenix, opening up for Justin Timberlake. This was ex-Tina, period. And ex-Tina was going to drive through for a lot of fast food before she did that tour. And I got this one photo, and I was shooting for MTV.com. And I got this one photo where she bent down, and it looked like she had an extra arm here. It was not flattering. Now, I never gave that photo to MTV. But when I came home, and I didn't even see it when I shot it. You know, you shoot this whole thing, and, you know, and then you come home or go to the hotel, and you start doing post. And I saw this photo, and I couldn't believe it. It was just hideous. And so I had to share it with somebody. So I emailed it to the girl I was dating at the time, and unbeknownst to me, decided to send it to a friend who then posted that photo onto a Christina Aguilera site, and it went everywhere. It went everywhere. And I had fans emailing me because they figured out who it was. Well, they could guess because my photos were the only ones that were out. And why would you do this to our Christina Aguilera? It's I photoshopped that in. And there was somebody's like, this is the real photo. And they just took one of my other photos that she was looking up and just moved it. And I looked at it, it's like, the people isn't even in the right place. I was like, I wonder if I can Photoshop this better. And to the point, there was little movies where she was on a rocket ship like that. And Darth Vader came out and zapped it away. I don't know how Darth Vader zapped it, but I think it was a finger. It went everywhere. People kept saying, your photo's being used in something again. Like, wow. And I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one year because I was shooting next door. Because there's also a science museum next door. And went in the morning, and they had her outfit from that tour display. Suddenly it had mesh holding this area. So I don't know if my photo, it also changed the photo policy because people couldn't shoot that song.
It's all nice.
Well, I mean, it's all, you know.
Well, it's all your
Yeah. Wasn't thinking. That was
More questions?
I hear from other photographers nowadays, at least more often now, about how a lot of the contracts now seem like the artists are trying to grab the rights to all the photographs. Like, what's your experience with stuff like that?
My worst one was Dead Weather because they played into this anyway, so I don't know how they thought that any of the shots were going to be making thousands upon thousands of dollars, but they actually had a contract. Not only did they own all the photos, but you could only post the photos on the website that you were shooting for, and every offense, every photo they found, not on the website, which is ridiculous because like what you're saying, people can copy, image, paste on the blog, whatever. Every offense would be a $30,000 fine. Each one, each offense. So, I mean, that was just kind of ridiculous. But the last time I shot Coachella, 2012, this year, we showed up and they were like, oh, hey, this year for the first time ever, we own everything you take. And talking to a friend of mine that shot Pitchfork, but lives in LA and shot both weekends, he said, after that first weekend after they did that, there was like no weekend and they came back the second weekend. It was just like, very few photographers in the pit, very few people that they had heard music out now that they want to know everything that you took, and they decided, we're not doing it, it's not for us.
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, the easy thing to say would be that you can just leave, but to get to Coachella is
Right, it's
It's
$2,500
not.
of an investment, things like donations.
Yeah, it's a pilgrimage to get out there.
It's a,
You know, so what do you do in that situation? There's definitely arguments of legal rights or how legal that is at that moment of presenting that to you. Not to mention, I'm not a lawyer. What do I know? I mean, other than some of them aren't that cut and dry. Some of them are these little weird little things and all that. And all. I think from what I hear in general, I mean, with those we're talking to management and publicists, the idea is more. Some of the stuff is to scare photographers because people are abusing things maybe, and it's that. And I've never heard of any artists because there's these things too where if we want to, we can ask for your photo free of charge. But I've never heard of anybody ever going through with that.
yeah. Well,
It's wrong.
I was going to add, I've been really surprised with some of the contracts lately. Like, Sonic Youth had a contract, the band didn't know it. I found out the band had no idea that they had a contract with the Vic, goes to this week, 2010. Global Bordello, the Cars, years ago, had a contract. I'm like, this is not very immigrant. How come you, Eugene Hudson? What?
Give a little background.
Morrissey got a contract, and Morrissey's contract was the funniest one because it was written for film photographers. Like you will leave the pit and immediately relinquish your negatives to the publicist, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we can process it.
Yeah.
Well, so how do we?
Often when you show up at a show, the publicist hands you a contract, and you have no choice but to sign it. And I would say it's certainly been getting worse. It's often done without the artist having any idea. The contract is some variation on, in nice ways, like you can only use these for editorial purposes for the publications you say you shoot for. That's kind of okay, fine. And some of them, it's the band owns your copyright. The band can use your photos for anything it wants to, free of charge, and you have no rights to anything. And part of the overriding problem, especially as Paul mentioned, or sitting here on the couch with us, the royalties from the images, when you can license them again and again, is kind of how the business model works. Like, Paul would tell the story of shooting Prince's Purple Rain, and he was the only photographer who shot this one show where Prince went through every outfit that he then used in the movie. And then he did a tour for a while because the movie was coming out.
The movie came out, right?
And so Paul had the only photos of Prince in all these outfits at the moment that Prince was basically the height of his popularity. And he made enough to like put them down in his house, and he's still making money off those photos. And he's still making money off all the rest of his catalog. And that's kind of your retirement package. And these releases are created in a way that goes away.
Well, you're
And
also.
we could probably talk about that
And
further.
you're also, it's your art. It's your art.
Right.
You know, I mean, I understand the concept of merchandise. You're right, because that's also connected with it. So that makes sense. But when that's something to renegotiate at another time, if possible. But yeah, those are really, really big issues. You know, it's unfortunate.
I'll tell you another thing that makes it hard to do it.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that it's really, it hurts. Like, I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying, professionally, but it really does hurt because you think, hey, I love your music and I'm an artist too, and I'm just trying to promote your music. Like, seriously, I love your music. I have all the records which I've bought. You know, I've gone and I've paid to see you too. Like, I've supported you when you were playing. Sometimes these artists, I've supported them when they were playing with like 10 people. So when they pull out a contract, I'm like, this is just ridiculous. Like, you know, I don't know. I think there's a disconnect between the bands and the publicists. The publicists are like, we don't want to pay anything more than we possibly have to. The bands usually don't know. They have no clue what the publicists are the arrangement for.
It's definitely true. I mean, a lot of bands don't even know that we're only allowed to shoot 3 songs. I mean, I definitely have been backstage with a band after, like, so why did you leave? We only had 3 songs. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't get it. Yeah. And then there's some that are very calculated. And some that are very calculated about it. I mean, there was a few years back for a couple tours, people that were handling Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers tour realized they've toured so much, they have no new albums, how are they going to get press? So they let the photographer shoot the whole set. You know, it was amazing. And especially an act in their, you know, at this point in their career and all, it was great.
More?